Imagine this. For 10 years, you're being punished for a debt, a huge debt, except that debt never actually legally existed. This is a wild story about a bureaucratic maze where one man's life was completely dismantled over an obligation that was basically a ghost. And this quote, right from the case files, really gets to the heart of the matter. From the get-go, this isn't a story about someone trying to get out of their responsibilities. No, this is a fight for accountability against a system that, as you're about to see, went completely off the rails. And it all comes down to this number, $116,000. That is the jaw-dropping amount of alleged debt that the state of Colorado chased a man named Gerald Hirschfeld for. And that chase, well, it didn't just affect his life, it nearly destroyed it. But here's the kicker. The whole foundation for this entire mess, the court order they were enforcing, it never actually existed. So how in the world does that happen? So let's start with the real-world impact, because this wasn't just about a number on a page. This was a systematic takedown of a person's life, and the consequences, they were absolutely devastating. I mean, just look at the scale of this. For a full decade, the enforcement was just relentless. We're talking 3 separate times they suspended his driver's license. He was documented as being homeless for 527 days. His wages were constantly being garnished, and his credit report was completely trashed. So the big question is, how on earth does something like this even happen? Well, the answer is what's being called a jurisdictional black hole. It's a situation where the very system that was designed to prevent this exact kind of chaos was deliberately ignored, not by one state, but by 2. Okay, so to really get what went wrong, you gotta understand how this stuff is supposed to work. There's a federal law, UIFSA for short, and its entire purpose is to stop this kind of mess. It creates a simple one-order system. Basically, only one state gets to be in charge at any given time. Think of it like a legal home field advantage. And in this case, that state was supposed to be Colorado. That's it, period. But what happened here was the total opposite. Instead of following the law, the child support agencies in both Colorado and South Dakota basically tossed the rulebook out the window. They cooked up this informal, totally illegal handshake deal, creating their own off-the-books system that let them punish this guy from both sides. And we know this happened because they said so themselves. This is an email from a supervisor in South Dakota, and he's not even hiding it. He just admits to the deal. If we gain any information, we share that with Colorado so they can enforce. It's a crystal clear admission of an informal arrangement that completely sidesteps the law. And here's the other side of that handshake, a manager from Colorado confirming her agency's role, saying, "We are working this case per the request of the state of South Dakota." You put those 2 quotes together, and what you have is a coordinated effort to operate completely outside the legal system. So you can imagine the kind of bureaucratic nightmare this illegal setup created. A technician in Colorado tells Mr. Hirschfeld flat out, "South Dakota is in charge. I'm only here to collect money." But then her own supervisor says the complete opposite, claiming Colorado has jurisdiction. It's the perfect way to dodge accountability, and it leaves a regular person completely trapped in the middle. And this wasn't just a mix-up. The system itself became a weapon to punish poverty. I mean, get this. In 2023, Mr. Hirschfeld gives them written proof that he's lost his job and is about to be evicted. The agency's response? Take it to court. Forcing a man who's about to be homeless to somehow navigate the court system is just an impossible barrier. And then, a couple of months later, they suspend his license again anyway. So that brings us back to the central question. How could an entire decade of punishment be built on absolutely nothing? This is where we get to the lie at the heart of it all, the legal foundation made of sand that this whole nightmare was built on. So this is the most critical point. There is a huge legal difference between a divorce decree and an actual enforceable child support order. For 10 years, these agencies acted like the divorce decree gave them the power to collect money, but that decree never, ever had a specific court-ordered dollar amount in it. It's just not an enforceable order on its own. To really wrap your head around just how absurd this is, think of it like this. It's like a bank trying to foreclose on your house with a deed that only says, yeah, a loan agreement exists somewhere out there. You can't enforce a number that isn't legally written down anywhere. And yet, that is exactly what they did for a decade. A forensic audit later revealed just how staggering the financial damage was. For 7 years, the state was taking over $1,100 a month. But the lawful amount, if they had just applied the correct rules, was only around $200. That's a massive overpayment they were seizing every single month based on a number they made up. And this creates a logical paradox in the court's own actions. See, in 2022, a court finally issued a real order with a real dollar amount, but they labeled it a modification. So that begs a really simple question. How can you modify an order that was never legally created in the first place? You can't change something that never existed. It just doesn't make any sense. So where does that leave everything? Well, it leads us to the final chapter of this story, at least for now, the reckoning. And this isn't just about one man's fight. It's a case that pulls the curtain back on the incredible power state agencies have and what happens when that power goes completely unchecked. So, what does justice even look like now? A motion to void has been filed, and it lays out a clear four-step path. First, the court has to admit the original order was a phantom, that it never existed. Second, a full forensic audit to fix the numbers. Third, stop the bleeding with a permanent injunction. And finally, step 4, restitution. Give back the $116,000 that was unlawfully taken. And let's be crystal clear here. This legal fight isn't about dodging a real responsibility. It's about demanding accountability from a system that used its immense power to punish a person for a decade, all without a valid legal judgment to stand on. All of this leaves us with one last really big question that goes way beyond just this one case. When a government system can cause a decade of real, measurable harm to a person's life, can that same system ever provide a decade's worth of remedy? Or, more importantly, is this just some rare mistake, or is it a symptom of a system that needs a serious check on its power?